right. So happy Tuesday. It was sunny this morning. Anyway, I'm back with today's news brief. So let's start with world news and specifically the earthquake. So, rescuers struggled to dig people out of the rubble of collapsed buildings in a race against time as the death toll from an earthquake across a wide area of Turkey and Syria passed 5,000. The magnitude 7.8 quake, the deadliest in Turkey since 1999, hit early yesterday and was followed by a second hours later. Let's see, and actually I'm hearing that there were even more than that, but... Alright, desperate screams for help could be heard from those trapped in collapsed buildings in the Mediterranean coastal province of Hatay, where people tried to keep warm around bonfires in cold, rainy weather. Hatay, which borders northwest Syria, is the worst hit province in Turkey with at least 872 people killed. Let's see, the earthquake aftermath looked the families and rescuers, Syrian families and rescuers, the buildings are, because of the strikes and shelling from the war, that it's weakened the foundations of many buildings, so made it much easier for the earthquake to down them. The flow of critical UN aid from Turkey to northwest Syria has temporarily halted due to damage to roads and other logistic issues. Alright, so... And in other news, Ukraine said the last 24 hours were the deadliest of the war so far for Russian troops as Moscow hurls tens of thousands of freshly mobilized soldiers and mercenaries into relentless winter assaults in the east. And I saw an interview with a captured mercenary who, based on what he said, probably being captured by Ukraine is the best thing that could have ever happened to him. So he either had the choice of harsh labor in the penal colony, which is where they get the mercenaries for the Wagner group, or fight in a war which he claims they were promised freedom and money. Now, I get the money thing, but this particular person didn't have a lot left on his sentence. Is my understanding. So the money must have been pretty good if. But he then said that he would have preferred the harsh penal colony to the war. Because apparently, if you go to the front lines and then refuse to fight, they just shoot you on the spot. It's like, how is this helpful? How are you accomplishing anything? But then again, these are people from penal colonies, so they probably think less of them than the other schmucks that they send to the front lines as cannon fodder. Because, I mean, these are criminals, so, not like they're people or anything. Okay. The U.S. Coast Guard imposed a temporary security zone in waters off South Carolina during the military search for debris from a suspected Chinese spy balloon shot down by a U.S. fighter jet, and the White House said it would keep a calm approach to relations with Beijing. Well, at least someone's being calm. You go to conservative media and they're losing their fucking minds again. But, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they would secure the area because, I mean, they don't want just anybody getting this technology. Certainly not the Chinese, that's why they shot it down, and not anyone else for that matter. Um, and in response to conservatives losing their shit over the balloon, first that it entered our airspace, then that we waited till it was out into the Atlantic till it was shot down. Now reporting is coming out that there were 3 such balloons under Trump's administration, which the Biden administration only learned about after the Trump administration had already left. But they are not telling us how they know this. But so let's see, there's been 3 prior to this in the previous administration. There supposedly is one in Latin America. Yeah, I don't think these are weather balloons. I really don't. So, now, as for it having time to spy, I don't know at what point, but at some point, the communications were jammed. So they couldn't transmit, so the weather balloon couldn't transmit back to China whatever information it was gathering. Another reason why the US would want this balloon, because they don't just want to see the tech, but it sounds like it still could collect data, it just couldn't transmit it. So obviously you don't want that in anyone else's hands either. So yeah, this all makes sense. Okay. For those who are not aware, and this is just people in the US, because I don't think anyone else would either want to or might even care. But tonight is the State of the Union address, Biden's second. So, and I believe the speech starts at 8. And you can watch it on any major news network, C-SPAN, its website, YouTube. I mean, because even the White House is going to be having the stream on their own YouTube channel. PBS, I know, always carries these things. So, yeah. So, if you're interested, it starts 8 o'clock Central Time. All right. Trade unions launched a 3rd wave of nationwide strikes against President Emmanuel Macron's plan to make the French work longer before retirement, as the legislation started its bumpy passage through Parliament. Rail services were canceled, schools disrupted, and refinery deliveries halted as workers across multiple sectors walked out. So, yeah, actually, one of the solutions that I heard out of France is, why don't you just tax the rich more? So I don't know what the tax rate is in France for the super wealthy, but yeah, that's always an option. If they're not paying their fair share, yeah, why make working stiffs work longer if they don't have to? So, because I don't know how the pension system works in France, I only know how it works in the US. So, the workers pay into their Social Security in our case. So, and into your pension. So, it's not like this money is just, coming out of nowhere. So, anyway. Let's see. Well, at least that works for Social Security. Now I don't know how pension works, but Hope of employment more than religious belief is driving people to join fast-growing extremist groups in sub-Saharan Africa, according to a report by the UN Development Program based on interviews with hundreds of former fighters. That is so sad. That is so sad that you are fighting and kidnapping and doing all these horrible things, not because you believe it, but just because it puts food on the table. That is just sad. Very, very sad. I mean, I don't condone these religious groups that are just off the deep end, but at the same time, at least these guys, you hope that they actually believe in what they're supposedly fighting for. All right. A special panel named by Nigeria's National Human Rights Commission launched an investigation into recent reports on rights abuses by the country's army. Those familiar with the commission's past work say it faces stiff challenges. Yeah, usually when you're bucking against tradition, yeah, that does make it hard. Okay, so now let's move to business. BP reported a record profit of $28 billion for 2022 while boosting its dividend in a sign of confidence as it sharply raised overall spending plans but scaled back ambitions to reduce oil and gas output by 2030. The blockbuster profit follows similar reports from rivals Shell, ExxonMobil, and Chevron. So, imagine that all the major oil companies are assholes. Who would have ever thunk that? Yeah, we're in the middle of a recession, but let's care about our shareholders and make them super rich and everyone else can suffer. I'm not against you making a profit, but taking advantage of a shitty situation just so you can get rich, I'm sorry, that just sucks. That just makes you totally, totally evil. All right. Shares in India's Adani Group rallied a day after it prepaid some loans, bringing relief to investors that have seen $113.6 billion wiped off the conglomerate's market value since a U.S. short seller published a critical report 2 weeks ago. So hopefully that stabilizes India's economy. Because my understanding is it's not hurting global markets yet. Microsoft said it was investigating issues with email service Outlook as users in North America faced problems with accessing, sending, or searching emails on the platform. Google owner Alphabet said it will launch Bard, a chatbot service, and more artificial intelligence for its search engine, as well as developers. Baidu said it would complete internet testing of a ChatGPT-style project called ErnieBot next month as ChatGPT mania pumps up Chinese AI technology stocks. Okay, I thought Google had a chatbot service. Or, no, I guess that's not a chatbot. Siri and Alexa, those types of things. I guess that's not considered a chatbot. That's just an AI. Never mind. Bed Bath & Beyond said it was planning to raise some $1 billion through an offering of preferred stock and warrants in a last-ditch effort to stave off bankruptcy. All right. North Korea stole more cryptocurrency assets in 2022 than in any other year and targeted the networks of foreign aerospace and defense companies, according to a currently confidential United Nations report. Well, it's not very confidential if you're telling people. Oh my God. I mean, it's great that Reuters got to see the report, but if it's supposed to be confidential, what the hell? How is this good? I mean, what you can have the discussion whether it's supposed to be confidential, but yeah. So I believe that is all I have for the news today. So as usual, if there's a news item that you want me to go more in depth with, or if you have something that you think should be brought to my attention, by all means, put it down in the comments below and I will at least look at it, if not actually create a video. As always, it depends on how confident I feel to create a video. I mean, it could just be a straight news reading like what I mostly do, or I could comment. But, so it depends on how long the video is going to be. But other than that, I will see you all tomorrow.